Good afternoon. Right, today, by the way, if this is really annoying for you, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about it, right? You're my friend, you're on my Facebook, you're my friend, right? If you don't like it, unfollow me. But you'll just miss out on all the amazing, whatever. It's not, no every topic is of everyone's interest, We all like different things, don't we? But so I pointed it to a hill there. Is that Criffle? Aye, probably right. I stopped here in the lay-by, past the kind of Troston Forest, is it called? Troyston Vasey, whatever, and the forest, and that's beside one of the hill segments in Strava, right? So since it's hill climb season, as if I haven't made it kind of apparent already with all my talk about, cycling and hill climb season. If you didn't know that already, it would be quite, you certainly would know what I'm talking about now. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, hill climb season. So just ponder this for a second, right? Ponder this, right? Ponder the importance of this, right? As old as I am, this is my best year. Because I've decided that's the case, right? The body is in amazing shape, and I could feel it out on the last bike ride, and we're just having a wee time of recovery and what do they call it? Convalescence? No, what's the word? Reflection, whatever the word is, contemplation, to take time out just to ponder this. See, when as I say, I'm resting up, because sometimes when you do the training, one of the things that happens after the training is good for a lot of things. It can improve a lot of, mitochondrial function, but it can also do harm, like oxidative stress, inflammation. So you need to recover. Recovery is very important. And I've been guilty in the past of doing too much training and burning myself into the ground. But that's just because I wanted to do that, because I was testing the old, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis and seeing how far I could push it, which I did in my job as well. And it's the same shit, I would push that. The reason why I left the bistro, by the way, right? I left the bistro because I was doing my 200-mile bike rides. I didn't give myself enough recovery, so I was stressed. Again, oxidative stress, stressed out. And then somebody said something the wrong way to me one day, and I was just got overly upset by it, wound up, because I was tired and stressed, and you don't realize sometimes when you're on the stress train, you don't realize how stressed you are until you actually come off it and relax. And it's like, you got to know what relaxation is. As Graham O'Brien says, learn from the greats. What would he know? He goes, the mental relaxation part of it is crucial in your sporting performance. Relaxation. You have to have your relaxation moments. But anyway, in my relaxation periods, sometimes that involves driving around in the car. And sometimes I'm driving around, because I've cycled all around the region. I mean, I've not explored as much as there is to explore, hardly a small percentage of what there is to explore, right? But see, when you go out on a bike, you go, fucking hell, it just gives you that wee perspective. And you go, because I was just driving up that hill there, and I'm on the top 10 on that hill. And it kind of fires me up. But it's like, yeah, right, come on. Keep losing the weight. I'm down to 11.5, right? Keep losing the weight. And it's like, how are we going to juggle? This is going to be one of the challenges. How am I going to juggle work, which is I'm doing labouring at the moment, and we're back into the kind of hardcore digging. So how do I pace myself with that and use the cross-training elements of that to help my cycling and not impede it? How are we going to juggle everything when we have the hill climb competitions are on at the weekend, right? How am I going to do that and work hard at my job? Because I need money, I'm not like a pro who's mollycoddled and in this little bubble, and all he has to do is ride his bike. As difficult as the training is, all he has to do is ride his bike, and all the other shit's just taken care of him for him. So it's a bit like when I did that outlocking month-long thing on outlocking, right? That was even tougher than doing it arguably as like one of the big actors or even one of the smaller actors, because they are kind of, as I say, they have their support team and they only have to turn up. Obviously they have to do the work because that's really tough for them. They need to do that, and that's a tough gig. It's just different. Let's not say it's any easier or more difficult. But when I was doing that outlocking thing, I did the whole thing on my own. The only support I had was really my mother and stepdad helping me kind of emotionally and financially to kind of get through it. And that was very challenging because I was driving myself there. I had to do all of the stuff involved in that, and there was no one like with a blanket around you, you know, figuratively sorting all your itinerary and your accommodation and this, that, and the next thing, and the support that you need as a kind of person trying to do that. So it's the same with this, right? You're trying to do something that doesn't want to be done. You know, you're fighting Mr. Age. I'm also fighting, because this is hill climb season coming up. Can you feel that? I'm quite excited about it. As old as I am, this is my best year so far because I'm so focused on what I'm trying to do and the weight's coming down. I've kind of got through that whole thing of not stress eating and addressing my bad habits with the food addictions or the comfort eating or whatever else, and, you know, staying off the alcohol and making sure that we're all relaxed and in a good place, you know. So all of that is, you're going to have all the ingredients together. It's going to be difficult, but that's part of the challenge. The challenge of the whole hill climb season is as much to do with how do you kind of juggle all that shit and still remain relaxed and still not get all panicky and be in a good state so that you can then put your big performance, your best performance in some of these hill climbs. So we have some hill climbs. I did some of them last year, but we're going to do more of them. And what I'm going to do is aim for getting better at them. And because the first hill climbs are on next weekend, right, it gives me a chance to kind of beast it this weekend, right, and see how I fare up some of these climbs. Because like I say, I did the Hill Climb Championship, got fourth on that after a 3-month stomach bug, which is pretty good. And nevertheless got a personal best up that climb, 12 seconds faster than my best. So I'm still on the leaderboard, 9th on that climb near Money I've done Dunreg and Bray. And then I was up 2 days later and fired up the other side and got 4th on it. So, and then what did I do? I was out again and I did a few cool things. So it's a whole balancing act. You know, life is like riding a bicycle. In order to move forward, you have to keep your balance. But I would add, keeping your balance is the difficult thing. So overall, saying that, keeping the balance and maintaining the balance, that's almost most of the difficulty is keeping that balance. It's kind of like when Graham O'Brien was imagining a better way and he lay on his back meditating and he was like, how do I invent this? How do I do things differently? And he was asking himself questions like, what is the way to go the fastest? Like, what is the question to begin with? What is the fastest way for the combined rider and bike to go faster on this course? And that's a big question, and you open yourself up to having good answers for it. So that's what I need to do with this season, this two months. How am I going to juggle work and juggle my over exuberance, which comes from being a bit too passionate about the stuff? You know, I'm a victim of being too passionate, and I kick myself into the ground and I end up not producing this kind of performances that I should do. So the key is to keep your emotions in check. This is another thing. When I was out the other day, it's people that don't know it about like going out and targeting these Strava leaderboards, try to get top on the leaderboard, or even getting yourself on the top 10 on some of these hill climb segments. You really do have to play with the head, and you have to keep your emotions in check, because you get excited. You're out there giving your all, putting your heart and soul into these things, you know, and you really do have to keep your emotions in check, because the self-sabotage thing is always there, ready to kind of fuck things up for you. That's a wee devil. So that's what I mean about juggling all these different things. It's try to juggle that, juggling your being able to keep the emotions in check, because because the difficulty is, see, if you're on the edge of something, at the edge of, like, as Graham O'Brien would say, breaking new ground, the tendency is for your emotions to get really, you're like, I've never been this way, I've never, like all those songs would say, I've never felt this way before, so I'm feeling these emotions and I'm getting all overexcited and like, how the fuck? Like, you got to feel not entitled, but you feel like deserving of some of these achievements. You go, right, well, I've put the work in, and it's a certain type of zone that you got to get in, a certain type of demeanor and headspace, in order to be able to let everything manifest, properly. Because it is, one of the things is, it's frustrating. When you keep trying and trying and trying, and then you're like, surely this time something's going to happen. And then it doesn't, for different reasons. And it's about, again, keeping the emotions in check and doing a little post-mortem and calming down and just recentering yourself and just appreciating, look, I'm doing my best. I'm doing it because I enjoy it. And results are almost secondary. To quote myself, one of the things I said about these motivational acting things that I turned up at, right, which there is a crossover with all this sporting kind of life stuff, right? The guy, one of the things you had to perform like a eulogy as if you were performing that at your own funeral. Kind of like saying, what have you done with your life? So it's a motivational tool. And one of the things I concocted. Great, isn't it? Being able to create your own lines, as if you're your own director. Great fun that was, right? And one of the things I said was, it's about results. It's not about results. It's about my results. In other words, you care about the results. You are to a certain extent goal orientated, but really the key thing is caring about your own results, and then the rest takes care of itself, hopefully. And probably you'll end up doing your best results by not giving a shit about the result, in a sense, just by giving it your best, because you can't have you can see some of these first places on these climbs and these performances, and you go, fucking hell, I believe I can actually do that on the right day, but it's not a given. And you can't be consistently targeting Strava segments day after day. It'll just burn you out. You got to wait for know when to hold them, know when to play, know when to hold them, like that Kenny Rogers song, is it, or whatever. So there's a whole load of stuff that you got to get right, and one of the things is losing weight and being relaxed and happy within yourself, and not feeling the need to overeat because you're happy, because you're ticking the legs over and you've got the good feel good chemicals going anyway, so you don't need to be eating all those comfort foods that give you that quick fix of your serotonin and your dopamine and all that. Obviously you need to get a good diet, because the serotonin is 90% of the serotonin is made in your gut, isn't it? So you need to have a good diet so that you have the building blocks to be able to create the serotonin in the first place, But we're not talking about that. We're talking about overeating, not pigging out and eating all those calorie rich, sugary, fat, fatty foods that are going to give you that quick fix. No, you want to just as like I say, have everything in balance, have a good diet and not be using food as, and actually see when you do, this is the other thing, what I've discovered, because I've been trying to improve my diet. See, when you improve your diet, what you discover is, when you eat all the right things, and I've cut out a lot of sugar and sweets and late night snacks and shit food, and you get to the point where you go, I'm really enjoying this apple. This is amazing. I feel good. I feel like I've got so much energy, and I'm, and they do say exercise, watching videos recently to do with exercise being great for your cognitive ability. Basically, exercise makes you fucking smarter. It's far from this kind of might be perceived thing of the cliche of the kind of dumb sportsman and the nerd nerd that does the weakling that doesn't get involved at school. He's the intelligent one, and the sports guy is like the dummy, like the stereotypical dummy. Well, that's far from the truth, as the research seems to have shown. So, but there's a lot to explore there. But you see what I mean about the theme is I'm taking time out and I'm doing a wee recce on these hills. I'm taking a little time out. Time out is really good to go, right, I have worked my butt off, like, so I want something for my money. I want to at least, even if it's just like, be happy with the results you get. Didn't be expected to be, oh, I'm gonna, because you got to be realistic. But I do want some results, and I do want to feel good, and I do want to get myself on some of these leaderboards. And that performances at the hill climb kind of got me going, and it really think that I got fourth on the other side of the climb 2 days after the hill climb with tired legs. So that's quite encouraging after the period of wee illness. So it won't be long before I get first on that side, and then who knows, maybe try for to go up the leaderboard on the other side. And that's good, because if you use little steep climbs like that, they're good little warm-ups and practices for some of these competitions. Like, I've looked at the calendar last night and there's quite a few that I'd like to do. I'd like to go to back to Peth Bank, because that was epic. I'm going to have to take some pictures, maybe do some vlogs and show some cool stuff for folk that's interested, probably just me, but I do find this shit interesting, because it's a story in it of how an old fuck like me is going to try and I'm one of the top local climbers, so you might as well go for it. I mean, what you find is some of the really good climbers, you see their names on the leaderboards on the Strava, and I've not met any of them, but you see them and you go, fucking hell, I respect that performance up that climb. That's really good. Why are they not entering? Maybe they are. I think that, like, there was a guy who was an ex-youth Scottish cyclocross champion, and I'm like, that's quite impressive. And I'm sort of nipping at his heels, and it might be, I might get like a young versus old kind of competition. So, one of these days, and go, oh, I'm challenging to beat him on some of these climbs. But again, you need the whole picture. You need to be in a good frame of mind. You need to, you need to be feeling good. It needs to be, you have to be that kind of, just like the boxers, where they're all kind of there at the training camps and they've got their little entourage, their little bubble that they need to build them up. And, and I'm quite vulnerable. What I've found in the past, I've been quite vulnerable to things in my life holding me back. Things can piss me off, and I have to be quite insulated, because when you're trying all the time to improve and train at all this stuff, even at my level, it's still the same shit as what any of these other top amateurs or even professionals would need. They need that support team and that comfortable space to do it, and the understanding of people in your life of what is required and what's almost required of them, like to just respect what you're going through and to just give you a bit of a wide berth, because a lot of times I think people don't understand what it's like for sportsman training. It's fucking difficult, and you got to be so, you can't have shit pulling you down, because it's such a sensitive thing. It's like you're like a Formula One car, and you almost have to have the kind of like your own tires, your own proverbial tires warmed all the time, and like keep me away from shit that's gonna, to some extent, doing the training actually strengthens you and makes you tougher and more resilient to be able to deal with all the extraneous shit. But nevertheless, you are vulnerable. You are more vulnerable in some ways, especially when you're tired as well, overtired. So I have been overtired, and I recognised that, and I took the day off work today, because as I said before, I can choose the hours that I work. So that was a very good decision, and I feel $1 million, because I just out in the car wrecking some of these climbs, and that's what you need sometimes, just to give you that kind of excitement. It's like, it's like if you were going on holiday you'd be looking through the brochures and looking at the pictures to get you going, wouldn't you? Or something like that. It's like, it's the ritual. It's the arousal, as Steve Backley used to say, the arousal. And part of the arousal is involved in the recce's, the reconnaissance rides to go and have a look at it. And because you need to be rejuvenated. You can't just be training like a maniac the whole time. So this has been important for me, taking wee time out, and I feel like human again. And I recognise, see when I've been going live, I recognise in my voice, I was looking back at it and going, what is this angry person? He sounds very angry, and and I don't like being that person. And I was watching these other Reiki video things, and the woman was talking about channeling your anger, and that's what I've always tried to do. So that, this is what centering yourself is why that's important. You can kick arse and have the stress and strain of the training, but you've got to know how to recover and let yourself come back to normality and not be too intense the whole time. Because for one thing, you're not going to perform in your job very well. I turned up at work the other day and I was absolutely exhausted, and I was just, I'm not this person. The way this person's talking to me is just winding me up. And then you kind of go, you recognize maybe the problem here is me, doing too much. So there you go. Little time out, little hill recce's. And I was going to do a kind of generation game thing of like trying to think off the top of my head of all the little climbs that I've got my sights on, and we've got a couple of months to do that. So, but this weekend I'm going to tackle some climbs. There's one that I've visualized in my head. There's 3 climbs that I want to get, because there's a young guy who's sort of put in some great performances, and I was doing my research looking at his performances, right? And he had done some of these climbs and got like 3 hill top spots on the one ride, and that's kind of inspired me. And a little scrawny guy, like a jockey, that's what you need, power to weight. So that's what I've tried to do, lose the weight. So it'll be a kind of old versus young, me trying to tackle that. I did take one of his KOMs, right? KOM, King of the Mountain, I got one of those a couple of years ago, and he actually congratulated, and he's like, aye, well done, lad, and I kind of paid respect to him for his efforts, and that's what you find. It's like the motorcycling, isn't it? You are as much, your achievements at some of these things are kind of as much are partly due to the kind of inspiration of those that came before you, It's like the motorcycling guys, isn't it? That like they go out and they're learning. They're behind the motorcycle guy and they learn how to draft. Or the guy basically in front is kind of like a quasi teacher, because he's doing the lines impeccably and he's doing it exactly the way you need to do. And all you need to do is rise up to that level, and then you become at his level. So it's kind of like the tennis as well. The tennis players, you play this shit hot player, he's teaching you how to play better if you're up to the job. Just like an actor, if you're get to play with this actor and he's like, oh fucking hell, that's just like me on the bike when I'm drafting behind a truck and it's pulling me along. If you're man enough to be able to be up to the challenge, so all that shit, what I mean? And I'm excited, and I was going to be, like I said before, I'm going to do a vlog, because it helps me. It's like a training tool, so I can't lose doing it. If no one interacts, well, who cares? That's not interesting to folk, is it? Because it's a load of shite, it's not on the telly, so it's a load of bollocks. Well, I find it interesting, so I'll be using it as a training tool, and we'll be trying to do better than we did last year, and that's what it is. And part of that is this weekend. I'll be spending between now and next weekend, not this weekend coming, because I missed the cut-off closing dates to enter some of these things, but the weekend after I will be competing in a couple. So it's great. I can use this weekend once I've rested up a little bit, and go out and tackle some of these climbs to get the confidence and see how the wee bit of training there has lifted my level, see how the weight loss has lifted my level, see how the approach has lifted my level, see how the relaxation has lifted my level, see how the visualization has lifted my level, see how just the every single minute of the day trying to get into that, just like getting out of my own way, just like a good actor, that's what they say, getting out of your own way, just getting into, being in energetic alignment. That's what I need to do, as my Reiki ladies tell me I need to do. So if I'm in energetic alignment and I'm fit and I'm feeling good and I technically have the legs to do it, then anything's possible. So yeah, next 2 months, hill climb season. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah.